The lights are out, besides my computer, because that's where I'm watching these TikToks. I've got my extracurriculars, and I got a snack and a drink. So y'all know what time it is. What's good in the YouTube hood? It's your girl, Luna Nova, and I'm back with another one for y'all this evening. And as you can tell, it's late at night. That's why I'm trying to whisper. I'm trying not to wake up my partner and our son. But unfortunately, I fell asleep a little too early because I was exhausted after running the shop today. So I'm up now in the witching hours of the night, which I usually am, but I digress. Because I went to sleep so early, now I'm up and I have the scrolls. And since I have the scrolls, y'all are gonna watch with me. Side note, am I the only one that likes to sleep in silk pajamas? Because I'm hot-bodied. Like, I get super hot when I sleep. This is the only way for me to keep cool, because otherwise, I'm gonna have to break out my birthday suit. Am I the only one that drinks Sprite and feels like I just ingested crack in liquid form? Jesus. Welcome back to the shadows, my friends, where the forgotten and the graveyards never quite sleep. Now, these stories are not just talking about old tombstones and overgrown grass. We're talking about haunted grounds, where spirits still linger, and sometimes where they want to be seen. And turn on the lights, grab you a drink and a snack, light a candle, and prepare yourselves for the graveyard edition of Spooky TikToks. So prepare to strap in, because when I say that the last video that I'm posting has follow-up proof to go with the story that she gave, and it was so freaking interesting and irrefutable. There was no denying there were some freaky things going on in that graveyard that night, especially because I know what particular graveyard that she went to, because it's right here in Atlanta, Georgia. When I say it's only a 20-minute drive away from where I'm at, I might have to go and have my own little experience, but y'all let me know if that's something that y'all want to see down in the comments. So if you're not up for the real stories and the real spirits, you might want to click off this video. So let's get into it, only if you dare.
I'm gonna tell y'all what happened when I went to go visit my grandparents' grave site. Okay, now, I don't know how you feel about stuff like this, but here it is. So I had an appointment that morning. After the appointment, I just had this feeling and this urge to go visit my grandparents' grave site. And mind you, this was like an hour and a half drive. After I left my appointment, all of a sudden I got really emotional, like I wanted to start crying. I was carrying somebody else's pain or something like that. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to stop and get some flowers first before I go to the gravesite. And if you know me, you know I love giving flowers. I just love giving flowers to people. So I stopped by the grocery store in the little produce section where you can get some little cheap flowers. And I grabbed a set of orange flowers for my grandparents' grave. I'm standing there. Y'all, it's about to get crazy. I have this knowing within me, like, I don't know, nothing said it, but it's like I knew to grab, there was this inner knowing to grab a second pair of flowers. Something within me says these flowers need to be pink or purple. And I'm like, okay. So I grabbed this pinkish, purplish, little bouquet of flowers, and I head to the cemetery. I'm thinking that maybe I'm supposed to sit down 2 pairs of flowers, one for my grandma and one for my granddad. So I drive to the cemetery. Y'all, when I say I know where my grandparents are buried, that's where the funeral was. I done been there. Like, I know where they're buried. So there's this like outside waste bin that like leads to their grave. And that's how I know where they are. So I park my car by the waste bin and I start walking to the area where I know my grandparents are buried. Tell me why I cannot find their grave. I wander. Like, it was almost like the doggone grave. I'm so country. It was almost like the doggone grave site disappeared. I couldn't find it. And I was so emotional. I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, am I okay? What's happening? Am I living in an alternate universe? Like, what is going on? I am wandering and I cannot find my grandparents' grave. And it of course has not moved. So I'm wandering and wandering and wandering. I end up at the gravesite of a woman named Miss T. And I try to find my grandparents' grave again. And I end up at the gravesite of a woman named Miss T. And I was like, well, I guess I'm spending time with you today, And so I knelt down And I gave Miss T the pinkish purple color flowers. I set it at her grave, sat there and just kind of, left some positive energy. I snapped a really quick picture because I was like, I want to remember her. I don't know why, but I was like, I want to remember her for some reason. And as soon as I set my flowers down, said a word with Miss T's grave, I get up and there's my grandparents' grave site where it has always been. I get home and I'm like, you know what? Let me just see, if I can find information on Miss T on the internet. Why not? So I enter her name in and I find out and discover that her granddaughter is my friend on Facebook. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do I tell her that I was at her grandma's grave site today? Like, that's so random. I don't want her to think I'm being a weirdo, but something like this inner knowing was like, no, tell her. So I sent her a message. I'm going to include the screenshot. I sent her a message and I was like, hey, is your grandma's name, such and such? And I got lost in my grandparents' grave and I ended up at her grave site. And what's crazy was I had this desire to get these pinkish or purple flowers and I ended up sitting them there and I ended up leaving them there for her. And she messages me back and says, yes, that is my grandmother. Also, we wore pink and purple to her funeral. And she sends me a picture of her grandmother's obituary, and it's pink and purple. The same color, the same pink that I got in the flowers. And she also says, we never got a chance to grieve her because it's been a lot. And so this week, we just started grieving her. And it's been hard, and we just needed a sign. I am blown away. I'm going to say this because I'm long-winded when I want to be. I need you to trust your intuition more. Trust your intuition. It will never lead you wrong. Trust your intuition because it could not only help you, but you don't know how your intuition and your decision to trust yourself, you don't know how that's connected to someone else. Trust your intuition. That inner knowing is there for a reason.
My mom believed that her house that she's currently living in was once a cemetery or a funeral home. Now, I wouldn't say a funeral home, but let me just tell y'all some of the things that has been happening in her house. And honestly, I feel like my family is so supernatural inclined. Like, we have so many ghost stories. And it has even led up to my mom having to come live with me for a few months back in 2020. So in my mom's house, there is a dining room. She has a living room. She has a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. But in the dining room, you always get this eerie feeling. I don't know how to explain it, but I have felt that feeling and I've seen things as well. So I was sitting at my mama's house. I was in the house by myself, not sure where my mom was that day. And I was in the living room and I saw a little girl. She was the most ugliest little girl I ever seen in my life. But she looked like an adult face, but she was just real short, black eyes. And you can tell like she was just a pure evil spirit. It was nothing nice about this spirit. And I jumped and I got scared and I ran out the house. And so happily, my brother was actually outside about to come inside. And he was like, what is it? And so my brother was like, did you see a little girl? So now I'm like, did you see a little girl? Now remember, my brother is very spiritual inclined. He sees spirits before anybody else does. And he always said the house had a lot of spirits in it. So he was go to say this little girl had black eyes, pigtails, short and ugly. And I screamed. I was like, Aunt, that's the same girl I just saw in there. That is the same girl. When I tell you I was shaking, normally, yes, I'm a little afraid, but I'm not afraid to the point like where I'm shaking. I was so scared. I was just like, oh my gosh, we never talked about this together. He never told me who or what he was seeing in that house. So it was the first time that we discussed this together. We saw the same spirit. So we went ahead and told my mom, like, something is not right. My mom comes home and she goes and say, oh, you're talking about the little girl. We're looking like you knew about the little girl. And my mom said, well, I anointed the house and somehow they'll go away and they'll come back. I'm just like, something's just not right here. It had got so bad that it was things messing with my mom. There were things falling down. Things was just doing weird behavior in her home. And so that's why she came to live with me for like 2 or 3 months back in 2020. Make a long story short, so my mom says every night around midnight, sometimes when she's up, the little girl, and it looks like an older man in overall, will walk from the dining room into the kitchen. She just see them going into the kitchen. Now, remind you, there's a wall between the dining room and the kitchen, and her kitchen, so they're going through the wall, and she don't see them anymore until the next time that they appear. And my brother was like, yes, the guy in the overalls, he's an older type of guy. It looked like he's kind of protecting the little girl. I don't know, I didn't see that man, but I saw the little girl without the man, so I don't know. Y'all tell me, what do y'all think about that experience in her home? Do you think it has some type of covering with ghosts, or do you think it's something more spiritual?
What's up, cousins? So I'm back with another story time for y'all. So this story is about how Brianna, not her real name by the way, but how Brianna's sister brought home a spirit from the graveyard site. So Brianna said she had just got home from work and her work schedule was from 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. Now her sister had an ex that had just recently passed away, and the sister was going to go visit his graveyard site. So the sister did take with her a bottle and she took a cross. Now when she got to the graveyard site, she did sit down the bottle and the cross on his grave to take a picture of it. So when she got done with the picture, she picked back up the cross and she picked up the bottle. However, she did drink from the bottle. So along from picking up the bottle and drinking it, she also poured some out on the ground. Okay, so the sister ended up going back home, and at the time she lived with her mom, and also Brianna did too. So Brianna did say their mom is from New York, and the mom grew up with a friend that was very spiritual and that can see things. Brianna said she had recently just moved back in with her mom, and things were just happening to her left and right. Like she can sense things when it's off, and she can feel when something is not right. So Brianna said she ended up calling a friend of the family that was spiritual, because even though she has these senses that something is off, she wanted some advice or some insight from someone that had a little bit more understanding of what was going on. So Brianna did say that she ended up having to go to work, so they had to really cut the phone call short. Okay, so while Brianna was at work, the friend of the family ended up calling back. So she's on the phone with her sister at the moment. So the sister and the mom is finna head to the store, but the mom ended up getting out the car to run in the house to grab something. So the lady, the friend of the family on the phone, ended up asking the sister, who's in the car with you, because she feel like something with the sister aura is off. And the sister responds, well, no one's in the car with me. My mom just went into the house. So the friend of the family was like, yes, someone is in the car with you. So the sister ended up getting out the car and going into the house. So the friend of the family was like, where did you just go? The sister said, well, I just came into the house with my mom. And then the friend of the family said, well, now they're in the house with you. So the friend of the family told the sister that it's somebody with dreads. Now the sister ended up getting scared and confused, because she's like, what are you talking about? The friend of the family started asking the sister, what has she been doing these last couple days? Where have she been these last couple days? And that's when the sister ended up telling the friend that she went to go see her ex at the graveyard site. So the sister is going on letting her know what she did while she was at the graveyard site. Now the friend of the family did tell the sister, hey, you need to go back and return the cross in the bottle, because once you set that cross and bottle down, it's as if you gave it to that graveyard site. So now that you took it back, it's as if you're stealing from that graveyard site. So the friend of the family is telling her sister that she should have never drank from that bottle when she put it on the ground. So when she picked it back up and drank from it, the friend did tell her that's kind of like you giving your soul to the graveyard. But Brianna says as time goes on and she's noticing her sister, she notices she's not right. She's not how she used to be. She looks unalived in the face, but physically she's there, but she said this is just not her. So later that week when Brianna was at work, a coworker came up to her and was like, hey, is your sister okay? So Brianna's like, what you mean, is she okay? Yes, she okay. And the coworker said, I mean, you know what I mean. She kind of looked unalived in the face. Brianna stated she couldn't do nothing but just silently agree, because she do feel like her sister was just unalived and came back, and she was just not right in the face, not right mentally. It just wasn't her anymore. So Brianna asked the coworker what day did she end up seeing her sister. The coworker said Monday. Now Brianna said Monday is the same day that they ended up finding out that something followed her sister home from the graveyard. She said they ended up having to do a lot of spiritual things to protect themselves because of the doors that her sister opened up from drinking from that bottle she had just placed on that graveyard. Now the mom is telling Brianna that they needed to put up crystals all around the house, including inside her sister's room. Brianna said she really did not want to go into her sister's room, so she was kind of hesitant about it, but she knew she needed to do it. Now she did say once she did open the door, she felt nothing but spirits of death.
surrounded in her room. She said she got such an uneasy feeling from opening her door, but whatever was in there, she did not want it to get out. So she was determined to put them crystals in her room. So after she put them crystals out in her room, she just felt like anything and everything that was in there tried to run out. She said, think of it like a child in a dark room trying to close the door and things are running after them. That's exactly how I felt. She said it was a scary feeling. It was an uneasy feeling. Okay, Brianna did end it off saying that she is very spiritual and she already knew that something was different when she got back home from work. This is after the sister had already went to the graveyard and then came back home. So again, Brianna will be in the comments, so be mindful of your comments, y'all. If you guys have any stories that you want to share, make sure you guys send me a DM or you can email me at the email that's in my bio, okay?
Did you know that in Haiti, there's a love spell tree that you can tie someone to located in the cemetery? I am back with another spooky story. Pictures will be included. This one was sent to me by one of my OGs. She will be tagged. We're gonna call her Renee, because that's her name. I have another story time I want to share with you. It's something that happened in the cemetery in Haiti. I have many pictures also to send to you because I was able to get some pictures. It's a story of my friend and I. We had some researches to do in the Grand Cimetière de Port-au-Prince, which is the Grand Cemetery of Port-au-Prince. Renee said, just so you know, when you have to do something in the cemetery, there are rules. And if you need someone to guide you because you don't know what you're doing, you need to pay. But her golden rule was not to give them her money, but to buy cigarettes and liquor. So as a form of payment, she bought cigarettes and alcohol instead. So this happened a few years ago. This happened November 2nd, 2018. As a part of her anthropology studies, Renee had to conduct research on voodoo in Haiti. This led her to visit a cemetery to observe and experience some of the rituals happening there firsthand. Side note, this was just for knowledge. That day, she went with her friend. Usually, they go in groups of 4 people when they're doing something voodoo related. But this time, it was just Renee and her friend, as everybody else was busy doing what they had to do. So her and her friend decided, okay, let's just go together. When you're doing research on voodoo on your own, you often need a guide, aka a malfecte. And you need this person to explain to you the different spirits, the laws, the rules, and how they work. And on that day, they were guided by one of the malfecte who are present in the cemetery 7 days of the week. They had to go to Baron, and if you don't know him, that is a law in Haitian culture. They also visited all the necessary places in the cemetery. When finally they approached this eerie looking tree, they stopped to look at the tree. They were informed that it is a tree used for love spells, where people would attach items like pictures or small crafts to influence someone's love life or decision. They can also make their partner spend all their earnings on them. It's a pretty cool tree. While the two are there looking at the tree with the guide notices something. As he's looking at the tree, he recognizes a picture, and it was a picture of someone that he knew. So in his emotional state, he impulsively just pulls the picture off of the tree, and instantly a terrible, overwhelming smell filled the air. It wasn't like rotten food, but something terrible. It was suffocating and almost unbearable. Renee says, but that's not the right way to do things. He didn't even go to Baron. He didn't even offer something to the crossroad. He didn't ask for passage. So there are consequences to his actions. After that, the guide started to feel dizzy and started to get really itchy. He was so itchy as if you would have thought that he got caught in poison ivy or something. He couldn't speak clearly anymore. His language became slurred and childlike, as though he had mentally regressed. Renee and her friend were terrified, but they still need to complete this research. So they tried to insist on going somewhere else. So as they're exiting that area, they pass this place where they're doing ceremonial stuff, and the guy tries to get some powder to help with the itching. It didn't help. As a matter of fact, it made things worse. He then collapsed on the floor and just starts shaking uncontrollably, unable to regain his composure. He was literally quaking on the ground, unable to control his movements. It was terrifying to witness. At this point, the two ladies just wanted to finish and leave, but they had to wait. If you're Haitian, you know better not to start using someone's services just to move on to someone else. So they had to see this through, my boy. You can't just ditch him and go to somebody else. It don't work like that. So this seasoned guy was literally their only option, and also they were on a time crunch as this research can only be done between November 1st and November 2nd. And guess what? It was November 2nd. So they had to wait for whatever he was going through to pass. So later, the guide seems composed and they continue with the tour. They moved to a different area where there was a réchaud trois pieds. I'm not sure what that is. I'll add pictures if I could find that. But there, the guide told them that there was a spirit that wanted to offer them a gift. The guide looks at Renee and says nothing. He was blank, as if he was a ghost. Then he turned to her friend and said, Ezeli Dantor has something for you. If you're unfamiliar, Erzeli Dotor is a loi/spirit in Haitian culture. He said Erzeli wants to gift you something, and you must receive it. You have to open your arms just like that, and I'm going to do this and that, and then you're going to accept the gift. Her friend refused immediately, feeling very uneasy and aware of the danger. The guide just kept pressing the issue. He kept insisting, take the gift. But the ladies kept saying, no sir, we're not here for that. From when that guide touched that picture, whatever had gotten onto his spirit, he was actually trying to transfer whatever that was onto her friend. However, the friend resisted. So had the friend actually opened her arms to accept the said gift, it would have been the friend instead of the guy. Although the friend resisted the gift, the friend became visibly unwell, unable to handle the intense energy around her. They had to run to leave the cemetery and basically do their little ritual/cleansing while they're leaving the cemetery. You're never supposed to just walk out, right? Spirits can follow you home. Ever since the guy removed the picture from the tree in the cemetery, she said that anyone there can feel the energy switch. So anyway, they leave the cemetery, and before they enter their home, they undressed outside, they entered naked, they went to the bathroom and cleansed themselves in the shower. Her friend, however, was still not okay for the rest of the afternoon, but eventually she recovered. Thank you, Yole Rene, for submitting that story. That one was definitely a fascinating one. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get my account to 10K just so that I know that it's real. Duh. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for longer, better, spookier stories. As I always say in all my videos, I love you, my abducted humans, from your favorite Haitian homegirl.
Y'all seem to really like the craziest storytime videos that I have, so I have another one for you. This is a story time about when I made my ex come ghost hunting in a graveyard with me. And yes, we were in one of the most haunted graveyards in America, apparently, on the East Coast. If this video actually gets big, then I'll go and find the videos from my old camera and my Snapchat and the photos and everything from the actual ghost hunting session in the graveyard, and I'll share those with you if you want to see all of that. But yeah, a few years ago, I had my ex come and go ghost hunting with me. So basically we had to wait until the graveyard closed, and they closed at 8. So we went during the day and walked around and everything like that, because it's literally like a whole park. Like you could ride through, they have events and stuff there, but it's like a massive graveyard too. So we go through the graveyard and everything during the day, and we're looking around and everything, and then we went to like the street next to it that had like these bars and food spots and everything. So we went over there, grabbed some food, snacks, stuff like that. We already had our little bag ready with the cameras and all that and stuff that we needed, you know. But we waited until the sun started going down. Then it was a little after 8. We had to go and sneak into the graveyard because we couldn't go through the front gate. So we climbed up the fucking back wall and through the trees, and we get into the graveyard, and we look to the right, and it's like up at the main house, it looks like it's some people that's like in the parking area talking to each other, whatever. So we like, oh shit, I don't want to get seen, let's get out the way, right? So it's like this massive field that we got to get across, but the sun is still going down, so it's like we kind of got the shadow of the trees to hide us while we're running across. So we're ducked down, we're running. I have my eyes looking down at my feet, right? I look up. There's a man in front of me, right? And this man, it was a black man, middle-aged man. He looked like he was in his like later 40s or something. He had on one of those like trucker type hats with the like the net type of shit in the back, and then he had on a red flannel shirt and some blue jeans, and he had a rake, and he was raking the leaves. And I looked up, and he was right there, and I darted off to the other side, right? I run this way, my ex runs behind me, we get over behind this little wall, right? We get behind this wall, he's like, what the fuck are you running from? I'm like, you didn't see that man standing right there? Like, we walked right up on the groundskeeper, nigga. He's gonna call the fucking security. What the hell? We're sitting behind this wall 30, 45 minutes. He's like, I don't think nobody's right there. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, I don't think nobody's right there. I'm gonna go check. He goes to check. He comes back. He's like, I don't even see nobody. I don't see nobody walking. I don't see nobody up there. I don't see nobody raking no leaves and nothing. And then I sat there for a second. I was like, wait, he was raking, but he didn't say nothing. Like, we was right next to him. He didn't say, hey. He didn't. I didn't even hear the of the raking, and I was like, let me just not. Like, are you trying to tell me that's a ghost? Let's not, right? Because that nigga was, I saw that with my physical eyes, okay? So that was the first thing. And we're walking around in this graveyard and everything, and we got our flashlight, and we got our little radio, our ham radio, and we're flipping through the stations and everything, and we're kind of using that as our spirit box. We went in there with
white sage and holy salt from a church in our pocket. So we actually did not have a negative experience when we went in there, because I went in there another time with somebody else and it was fucking terrifying. So this first time we went in there was actually a very peaceful experience. And we're walking around and we're using this thing. So like little stuff started to happen like this. We're walking past a certain plot or whatever, and I feel this pulling from the right of me, but I didn't look. I didn't look. Usually I look towards, but I didn't look where I was being pulled towards, and then I started feeling this aching in my chest, and then I felt the aching go through my breast and down into my ribs and my lungs, and everything right here was hurting to the point where I literally stopped, and I was standing there like, what the fuck? Like, it's hard for me to breathe. While I'm standing there, I look down, and there's a plaque in front of the burial plot that I'm in front of, and it was a Black women's breast cancer burial plot. We're walking down one of the main roads in the graveyard, and while we're talking and we're walking, my thought process is getting cut off, and it's like this kind of visual of a little girl skipping in a circle around me while I'm walking, and she's like, "Hi, I'm Mary. Hi, I'm Mary. Hi, I'm Mary." Right? So it got to the point where I just looked at him and I was like, somebody wants to say, "Hi, I'm Mary," right? And he's like, "Mary?" I'm like, "Yeah, just keep saying, 'Hi, I'm Mary.'" We keep walking down the road a little bit, and one of the only headstones that was actually literally like 3 inches off of the road, facing the road, usually they're like in plots and a little farther back behind the bushes, it was a gravestone for a child named Mary. I don't remember the exact years I was on there, but it was a short amount of years. It was a little child named Mary whose gravestone we ended up walking past after this. We took a number of pictures in the graveyard where there were like orbs everywhere, like snow. It was orbs everywhere, okay? Hella pictures of that. There's even a picture where I stopped on the side and I was like fixing something with my camera, and you can literally see like a whole face right here, like in the picture. There's a whole ass face, to the point where we had to go back and look and see, like, was I standing next to a statue or anything like that? No, there was a whole ass face in right here while I was, and the crazy thing is, while I was standing there, I felt it right there, and then I decided to turn and walk in the opposite direction than the direction that I felt it in, and the picture just validated it. The whole time we were walking around in the graveyard, we just thought security was following us. We thought security was following us, but kept turning off their flashlights. And you look around the park, you'll see that you can see the entire park from almost every angle. Like, it's a big ass park. You could see the entire park. So if there were to be security guards in there, they would have been seen us. If there were securities in there, we would have been saw them, okay? We had flashlights on, but it's just like, it just always seemed like somebody was like 15 steps behind us doing a small jog, like, I'm gonna catch them. I'm gonna catch these fucking kids. They think they slick. That's how we felt the whole time. We were in there for like 2 or 3 hours, and the whole time we felt like somebody was like trying to catch us. I remember we were laying down on the ground and we were taking some pictures down the hill and caught a picture of this big, black, massive, beastly looking fucking thing, and then the camera died right after we took the picture. So I started recording on my Snapchat, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? The camera died. And then we looked down and we were like sitting on top of somebody's grave. So we stood up and we like, oh my God, I apologize. Swear to God, like, nah, I'm sorry, we already doing too much being in here. But after that, I remember like we were walking around, some little stuff happened with the ham radio. Like, we were standing under this tree, and he said, "Do you know where we're standing right now? Do you know where we are?" And then it said branch, and then we was like, "Did you hear that?" And then it was like tree, and then it was like, okay, now it's saying something for real. And then it was like, ah, ha, ha, like a little fucking giggle. And you know when you switch it through the station, just urge, like, we're like, okay, all right, shit is happening, right? Later on in the night, we go to the center. We go to the center of the graveyard, where there's a little obelisk in the center of the graveyard. And it's like some grass around it up on this platform and shit. I went and I'm sitting on this platform, and I felt comfortable. Like, I felt a feeling like the grass was just so comfortable. Like, I could have literally laid down and slept there for the rest of the night comfortably, like fine. But I was like, actually, it might not be a good thing that something's trying to make me so fucking comfortable right now. Let me get up. Because I really didn't want to leave. Like, I was very blissful right there. I really did not want to go anywhere. But this motherfucking man this man, because there's also, when we looked online about it, there is, in the October seasons, there's a roll call that happens out there. One of the sergeants or generals who passed away and is buried out there, he does a roll call, and you hear him calling out names of soldiers. That's the story, right? This is not the time of year where it was supposed to be happening either. So we're standing there in the middle by the obelisk, and he's like, this man stands up and he says, "Soldiers, attention!" And I looked at him and I said, "Why would you do that?" And I felt this tingling from the back of my head, and I said, "They coming." And I turned around and I clicked, orbs coming up the walkway. Turn around, felt it this way. Click, orbs coming up the walkway. Turn around, felt it this way. Click, orbs coming up the walkway. He ended up taking pictures of me sitting in front of the obelisk, and there were orbs around me like fucking snow on a clear night. Every fucking where. That was quite an experience that night. We experienced a lot of different things that night, but we ended up having to go out the same way we came in. But we were in there for a few hours, and a lot happened. And when I went back in there with somebody else, I saw a little fucking dark demon thing running and hiding behind bushes, and me and this nigga was like, hold on. This is not the same energy. We need to get the fuck up out of here. So yeah, that's when I went ghost hunting in the cemetery. Not recommended. Actually against the law, probably. Don't tell them it was me. It wasn't me. I didn't do that, actually. This is for entertainment purposes only. TikTok. Go to the graveyard. So, we're in the cemetery and we've been waiting for a little while. There's no one, over here. Shit, help me up. I don't wanna put the flash up because we're about to run again, so I'm just gonna stand with my back to the tree. But I can't really see right now. Got my camera with me. About to go say fuck it. Yeah, the battery is all the way drained on the camera. I think it just died. Yep. The camera just died with a full new battery.
And who's good with it?
We're out here in the graveyard. Dude's mother and father right here. It says brother right here. Our batteries on our camera just died, so we're about to put some new batteries in there and keep taking pictures because it drained right after he took a picture of something over here. I'm getting this headache across my forehead that I was getting earlier. That scared the shit out of me. I thought that was like a baby or something, like my heart dropped. Slut. Some of the pictures with the orbs. All those that look like lights, they're actually orbs. It was pitch black in there. That's why I wanted to take that picture. It was all those orbs around. All of that was pitch black before the picture. All those little dots, those are orbs, y'all. It's an apparition in this picture. Right there. You see it? Right there. Standing over there. Another apparition in this picture, like you already see all the orbs around me. That's me. And then there's somebody like standing right behind me. Can you see that thing right there? If you can really see it, you can see that it's a face. You see the two eyes, the mouth, like the side of the head. Like somebody was standing right there behind me. But it ain't no vase or nothing right there behind me. See?
Now, a gentle reminder before I let you guys go for the evening. Graveyards are not playgrounds. These are sacred resting places filled with memories, spirits, and energy that deserve respect. What may seem like fun and games can open you and your spirit up to a world that you are not ready or prepared for. So tread lightly. Honor the dead, but don't disturb them. Now, I absolutely love hearing and sharing these stories. And if you've had your own bone-chilling experience, I want to hear about it. So go ahead and email it in. And you might just be featured on the first episode of Mystic Monday, where I share real spooky stories from my viewers. But now that I've started going down the rabbit hole, I definitely have more that I'm going to share with you guys. So let me know if you guys are interested in a part 2 for the graveyard edition. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and edit this video so I can push out some more content for you guys. Make sure that you drink your water, mind your business, and stay prayed up and protected. And as always, Luna loves you.
Give it right back, did they give it right back? This up, baby, can I sit right back? Wanna give it right back?